So Jacob, when we look at Jacob and the twins and the significance of January and Juno, the solstices and the horizon lines, when we look at the division and the lands in the beginnings and the two lands, the two ladies, when we look at the mother and the mother giving the birthright to Jacob, the hill catcher. When you look at Genesis 25 and 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. When you look at the word heel, it's Akab. So when you look at Jacob's name, his name means Yaakov, the heel catcher. Now this is significant. You have to understand and study the story of Jacob and Esau to understand the significance in lands and how Jacob supplanted Esau and took a birthright. So when we look at Joel, the third chapter, and it talks about the slavery in the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, have ye sold Makah to the Grecians. So when we look at the Grecians and the selling of the children of Israel in both kingdoms, when you look at Jerusalem being compared to Samaria and Jerusalem, in the two women, the two ladies, and the two lands, and the significance of the separations after the flood times, and how the waters cause a division within the earth and calls for the need to do navigations and migrations, which were not prevalent until after the floods. And this is why guidance and worship of the heavens and these different things were so significant to the ancient cultures and to the growing. When you look at corn and the process, right, of traveling. When you look at the ancient coast, the populace of On, which is known to be thieves of the west, and this ancient coastline, this ancient sea coast. When you look at the land of Canaan in the book of Joshua, and it says to them in the book of Joshua that this sea land, where the sunset land and this coast was so significant. We have to understand why, and it's due to the calculations and the understanding of the heaven and the viewing of the heavens, and the changing and the turning of time between these two solstices, these two tropics, known as the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, which are seen as twins. When you look at Yaakov, the heel catcher, the patriarch of Israel, and the Z people, Zimaru, Amaru, and the scapegoat, and the crossover of the Southern Cross into the lands of Asia to come into the lands of Afar, Akibalon, Africa, the hill catcher. These lands, when you look at the Kadim, Mount Seir, in the region of 30 degrees east, all the way to the great horizon line of Ghana, this is the heel, or this is the mouth to the Western Hemisphere, and this is the heel, or the ending portion of the Eastern Hemisphere. So when you see the Amu people, this is why when they came into this region of the Mason, during the time of the Toro, the Taurus, the turning, to come into this time of the summer, you see that they put this in the hieroglyphs, these Amu people, these Asiatics. So we can understand why Akibalon and the heel, the armies, the protection that Akibalon played to the Americas. This is why Christopher Columbus and others during 1492, under the expulsion of the Moors, that caused for the Moors and any other Hebraic, Avarian, Iberian people to flee into other portions of Africa, which has been a protection for since the beginning of time for this hemisphere, since the earth was divided, since the waters came about. So when we look at Chaco Canyon and the ancient travelers, whether it was Christopher Columbus coming into these lands and trying to get into Arizona, California, into these regions, where they brought these different Moors with them that helped them to navigate the seas, because these people, since the beginning of time, it's been in their genetics and their DNA to be these travelers, be these people. So when they hired them to come into the land, some through force, which if you study the expulsion of the Moors, you have to understand when we look here in Ezekiel, it talks about the two portions, right? So when we look at the two portions, the two lands, the two ladies, Upper and Lower Egypt, and the Amu people, and why we see in the tombs the representation of the Amu and why they receive so much of a census. You have to understand the census and the populace of On and the ancient Amun capital. And when the waters and the earth was divided under the time of Genesis, the 10th chapter, where we find this first New World Order beginning with Nimrod, we have to understand prior to that, these sea navigations were done by Shem and his